I want to show you guys a product I used to get rid of rust. It's called Evapo-Rust. I used about 5 gallons of it. This is a small bottle that I got just for you guys. And we're going to do a little experiment. So I've got time-lapse area set up. I've got a light. I'm going to let you guys watch. Basically what this stuff does is it gets rid of the rust. It actually suspends it in the solution, removing it from the part. This is non-toxic. You can throw it out in the yard when you're done. You can reuse it until it stops working very well. I had a big tub that I put all that in, and I soaked like my lower and upper control arms on the car and a bunch of other parts, and basically took them out, dried them off, painted them. So today what we're going to do experiment wise is I've got a variety of different metals in various states of rust. So we've got this is a emergency brake shoe, I believe, but you can see on it that it's pretty crusty. I know this whole thing's not going to fit in there. I mean, that's the tub I'm going to use, and I don't know how much that's going to fill up, but we're going to submerge this stuff and you'll be able to see a line, so you can have a comparison. We've got just a random piece of rusty metal. I've got a chain right there that is just regular rusty chain. I've got a flimsy spring that's pretty crusty, not usable anymore. If I can fit it in there, I've got a piece of angle iron just to kind of simulate a big piece. You can see it's got pitting and it's pretty rusty. This was cut off a trailer. I've got a brake bleeder screw, which is pretty crusty. Let's see what else. I've got this washer right here. This is pretty much trash, but I was curious what it would do to it, considering this thing looks like it is completely rust. So we'll see what happens with that. This is one of the owls we made a long time ago. It's painted, so there's really no rust on it, but I'm going to put that in there anyway because this stuff doesn't affect paint, which is kind of neat, because if you have a old painted piece with surface rust, you might be able to use this stuff to get rid of the rust and not get rid of your paint. I've also got various nuts and bolts from the Firebird that are pretty rusty and crusty. And just for fun, I've got this 12 gauge shell which has sat in some water after it was fired, and it's got some rust on it. So let's see what happens with that. So I'm going to fit all this stuff in there the best I can. Matter of fact, I can take you guys along. Won't take very long. Let's see how much we get. This is a quart. It's really slimy feeling. And like I said, you can reuse it. I did quite a few parts on the Firebird. Let's see what's going to be the best way to do this. Let's see if we can set that guy in there. That guy in there. Now what I did do is basically just blew these off. Ideally you would want to At least knock the dirt off, wash the stuff good first. But for the sake of this video, it didn't really matter. Got our super crusty rust washer. Put that guy in there. You can see already, it's already working because it's starting to bubble. It looks like I'm not going to be able to fit as much as I thought in here. Put that guy in there. I don't want him on the rust. This one's pretty bad looking. Stick him in there. Take some of these nuts and washers. And it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to fit the big piece in there. So that'll be a good test. So I'm going to set up a time lapse. You can see I've already got the timer. I was testing to make sure everything was going to work as expected. So I'll set it up. We'll come back tomorrow. I'm not going to give it 24 hours. Basically just going to give it until I decide to come back down here tomorrow. But you'll see the timer, so we'll know how long it's been. Alright, see you guys tomorrow. Alright, it's just about been 19 hours. Let's check it out. I can see it's a lot darker than it started out when I left it last night. I see there's a bunch of stuff floating around, the rust that's suspended. You can't even see in the bottom anymore where some of those nuts and bolts are. But let's take some of it out and show you guys how this does on the various pieces. So you see the line right there. It got a good bit of that rust off on this emergency brake caliper, and even on the inside. So I gotta dry these off. We can be able to see them better. So didn't do a whole lot on the sides here. Yeah, it did. I mean, it got some of that rust off. Not all of it. This one I would definitely leave soaking for a couple of days. But I mean, it got rid of the rust right there on that. So let's keep digging. So this bolt I purposely left partly submerged. And you can't really tell the head of it. Well, you can see there's a little more rust up here than there is down here. It is black, and I can still see rust on it. However, the nut and the threads that were submerged, just about all the rust seems to be gone. Let's see about our shell. So it helped with the shell. I don't know if I would reload this and use it, but it got just about all of it off. Still a little discoloration. The owl that we painted, there should be no change on this. and it didn't affect the paint in the least amount, which is good. It's good to know. There was a little bit of peeling back here, but none anywhere else where it was submerged. Alright, we'll just kind of dig through these real quick. You can definitely see the line where it was submerged in there. Hopefully you guys can see. You can definitely see the line where it was submerged in there, and it took off most of the rust. There's still a little bit on the threads that could be cleaned up, but you see a little right here where it was sitting in there. Cool. This one's bent too. I didn't notice that. Let's check out the chain. Let me dry it off real quick. So the chain was mostly submerged, but there was a few links and stuff that I left sticking out so we could see a difference. But that chain, it's pretty much got rid of the rust on a lot of it. You can see the parts that weren't submerged. You can definitely tell the difference there. The hook was completely rusty. It looks pretty clean. I can wash these off and a little bit more of that rust will come off. Interesting. Uh-oh. The spring. Let's see what the spring looks like. I don't remember what these springs were from, or this spring. Yeah, that got all the rust off. See, the ends are even shiny again. Springy. Now, this is what I'm curious about. This is that washer that was just rust. Nothing but rust. I mean, I can flake the rust off of it. I didn't have much hope that this would do anything. I was just curious. So, rusted to the point where you can flake it off. I don't think anything's going to help you there. This should be interesting. So this flat piece, it got rid of all the rust. You can see all the pitting on it. I mean, I wouldn't have any problems wiping this down with some mineral spirits or something like that and throwing some paint on it. Let me fish the rest of it out. I thought there was something else. It does leave a little slimy feeling on your hands. Now what you should do after you do all this, instead of just drying it off, is also wash it off. But then if you wash it off, you need to protect it pretty much immediately, because it's metal and it will just start rusting again. So let's take a look at washers, bolts. There's that bleeder screw, which it got quite a bit of rust off of there. That head was pretty rusty on it, but that's not too bad. The washers and stuff, no problem. Clean those up. The bolts that were fully submerged, they look alright. A little bit of rust on the head still. And these big bolts, one of them that was super crusty, I mean it's pitted and corroded and stuff like that. It got a lot of the rust off, but I can still see it on there, and that could be a combination of dirt and grease too. But the other one is actually almost shiny again, the head included. So then the nuts, castle nuts, they did good too. So the solution itself, Evapo-Rust solution itself, you can see is a lot darker than when we started. If you watch the time lapse, I'm sure you saw that happen. So yeah, I've used this. I just wanted to do this experiment to show you guys how effective this stuff is at removing rust in various states, and you can make the decision for yourself if it's something that is useful for you. For me at the time it was. I did quite a few parts in a big tub with about 4 or 5 gallons of this stuff. Obviously the more you have, the more solution there is to suspend that rust, so that will hold more and you'll be able to reuse it more often. So this stuff right here is probably still good. You can put it back in the bottle and then break it out again next time whenever you have to remove some more rust. So hopefully this video was helpful to you guys, and maybe you can use this to remove some rust if you don't have a blasting cabinet or some other means. Like I said, this is non-toxic. I could just toss this out in the yard right now. It's not going to hurt anything. So alright guys, hope you enjoy. Tune in next time when we get into something else. We'll see you next time on Chaos Garage.